What up, people? Happy Saturday. Kamari Ellis here, the Finance Rebel. This is the Finance Rebel Show. And y'all know every Saturday at noon or noon-ish, we do a wealthy conversation. All right. And so this week's wealthy conversation will be the 3 phases of generational wealth for Black families. Again, the 3 phases of generational wealth for Black families. I know a lot of people talk about generational wealth as it relates to Black wealth, but oftentimes we're only kind of talking about it in the present day or the current generation. But if we're talking about generational wealth, that means we have to be forward thinking. And so today I wanted to share some of the stats that a lot of the wealth management and banking clients and banking firms have done to study this. And so we'll be talking about that and breaking it all down. As always, do me a favor, share this with anybody who's interested in increasing Black wealth and their overall financial IQ. All right. So I see I have one question. I'm going to do most of these questions towards the end as it relates to the topic. But King says, do you do business with companies outside of the state of PA? Yes, I have clients all over the country. All right. So let's hop into it, folks. As y'all know, we do every Saturday. Again, we do our market rundown. You've seen the S&P 500 close at 4,155, down for the week, a little shy of a half a percentage point. All right. However, the S&P 500 is still up 10.6% year to date. So the market's still running. Market's still doing well. All right. Oil closed at $63.88 a barrel. That's what it closed at on Friday. It's down 3% week to date. So oil's down. Ironically, it's interesting with everything that's going on with oil, that oil is down. But oil is up almost 32% year to date. So oil's been running. But we've been seeing a lot of stuff going on with the pipeline and the hackers and the ransomware, and that was absolutely crazy. But they got it back open, so hopefully gas prices should start to go down soon. Really, really interesting. All right, gold. Gold closed at $1,881. All right, up the week by 2%. Up this week by 2%. Gold, however, is down year to date 1.42%. So gold is down, but gold has been making quite a bounce. All right, Bitcoin closed at $38,406. I know everybody's been watching that level. A lot of people are excited about it. We saw Bitcoin go down to as far as almost 28,000. So it had a bit of a bounce, but I'm not sure what's going to happen from here. Bitcoin is down 14.6% for the week. So last week, Bitcoin price dropped by 14%, almost 15%. Bitcoin and all cryptos are very volatile. I tell people all the time, be careful about trying to put your savings into crypto. All right. Especially if you don't have a whole lot in savings. Crypto is not the asset for savings. Crypto, again, is an asset for, and I use the term asset loosely, but it's an asset for investing, speculative investing, more long-term in nature, in my opinion. All right. And Dogecoin, good old Dogecoin. Dogecoin closed at 34 cents. So Dogecoin still has not made it to the moon yet, folks. All right, it got as high as 72 points. Y'all know I've been talking about that, playing around with it a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. Y'all know how I feel about Bitcoin, and y'all know how I feel about Doge. So listen, y'all, today we're going to be talking about the 3 phases of generational wealth for Black families. Again, the 3 phases for generational wealth for Black families. I'm going to put up a slideshow so everybody who's watching on Facebook and on YouTube get the benefit of seeing this. Sorry to my IG folks, and sorry to my podcast listeners who will get to hear this later when I put it out on the podcast. But I'm going to do my very, very best to articulate all the topics, all the terms, and all the theory as much as possible so everybody can get it that's listening to the sound of my voice, not just watching me here on the live screen. All right. So give me 1 second and I will just put this up for everybody to see. But listen, as I'm putting it all up, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this as I started this talk here, we talk about generational wealth. We talk about Black wealth, Black generational wealth, legacy wealth, whatever term you want to give it. However, I see a lot of people talking about these terms, but they haven't really done any research into what really makes it up. And y'all know I love my Black businesses, my Black community, Black wealth, but there's not a whole lot of studies on wealthy families that are in Black spaces, at least not from a generational standpoint. So what I did was just take some of the overall theory and topics, and we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how that will relate to Black families and Black businesses and Black organizations, and how I see it will impact them over the generations. All right. So again, I'm gonna go through these. Right, it's not gonna be that long. So save your comments and don't save them. Go ahead and throw them in the chat, but I'll get to them towards the end. All right, I'll get to them towards the end. Don't worry, I won't forget about you as long as they are logged in. All right, so here we go. All right, so the 3 phases of generational wealth for Black families, right? So when we talk about generational wealth and we talk about Black families, Black businesses, Black organizations, I think we first have to define wealth. A lot of people talk about wealth, and we kind of talk about it in a loose fashion, but we don't really talk about it, right? So what is wealth? Wealth here from the dictionary, an abundance of valuable possessions or money. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, I have this red arrow. Right. And it says archaic at the top of it. And then underneath it says well-being or prosperity. Right. So y'all know a lot of times I say real wealth is health. Right. Real wealth is soundness of mind. Wealth isn't just about the money. But I wanted to go, since this is a presentation, I wanted to go and actually get the facts and show y'all. This is an old archaic word, ancient English word. Wealth actually means well-being. And so again, many times we get fixated and focused on the money, the dollars and cents, but we forget about all the other things that help to make up a great experience as it relates to wealth or money, right? Because usually the money does make money, but usually it's something that helped to create the money, whether it's a profound insight into something, whether it's an idea, whether it's some kind of intellectual property or a process that you created. Maybe it's just you make great fried chicken. And we've seen that as well, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be rocket science, but just something that we see happening pretty often that can be done and again refined. Like, think about it. McDonald's has been around forever. I don't think anybody would say McDonald's is great. However, they figured out a process to continue to churn out profits day after day after day. All right. So again, wealth, as we talk about it, will be well-being. All right. Wealth equals well-being. Now, when we think about wealth, right, and we think about the families and the organizations that have been the most successful at creating wealth, at creating generational wealth, their families, their organizations, their businesses usually have 5 different categories of capital. All right. So they usually have human capital, intellectual capital, social capital, spiritual capital, and last but not least, financial capital, which is the least important of all those, right? But human capital, their abilities and qualities, right? Like I was talking about earlier, do they have some kind of refined process? Do they have a great ability? Do they have a great way of handling customer service? All right. Intellectual capital. Are they learning? Are they always learning? Are they always creating ideas? Are they sharing those ideas? Do they have a mechanism or process for doing that? Some of your best families are able to do that. If you go back in time and do some research and you look up the Rothschild family, the origins of the Rothschild family will talk about how they were getting information in France and then using carrier pigeons to disseminate it to one of the brothers in England. Well, they had a learning system. Some people will say they cheated. That's cool, but that's not what I'm here for. We just here to talk about it and analyze it, right? But they had a learning system and they were able to disseminate the learning amongst their family and made it possible for them to make money. All right. Social capital. Do they function well together? I know a lot of times in Black businesses and Black organizations, that's something we definitely struggle with. But it's one of those things we need to dig deep on and examine. All right. Spiritual capital. Are they connected? Do they see themselves as part of the same team? Do they see themselves as moving towards the same purpose? All right. Do they see themselves as kind of comrades in arms or soldiers working together, warriors working together, brotherhood working together for the benefit of their family, their business, and or their organization? All right. And last but not least, again, financial capital, which is money. And that is, again, the least important, but that's the one we talk about the most. However, it's funny, if you flip this upside down, and there's a great example I saw, I won't do it today, but they talk about just kind of using your fingers. But when you look at it, I'm sorry, I actually have it right. When you look at it like this, it's kind of like a funnel, right? It's human capital, intellectual capital, social capital, spiritual capital. All those things kind of create a funnel, and at the bottom of the funnel, that's where the money flows out. That's where the money resides. But again, it's a process. It's a process of refinement. It's a process of work. All right. All right. So I wanted to talk today. I told y'all on Wednesday about the shirt sleeves curse. All right. So the shirt sleeves in 3 generations. All right. So you see here, generation 1 builds the wealth. Generation 2 tends to just coast along. Sometimes they build a little bit more. Sometimes they build a little bit less, but it usually doesn't do anything substantial. And in generation 3, it's usually all lost. Now, this is just an average, right? So we talk about this information from the standpoint just to show what happens, right? And as we are building our wealth, we know what to look for. So again, 3 generations. All right, first generation builds the wealth. Second generation tends to coast along. Third generation spends it all. Now, can anybody guess why there's a breakdown? Right, because we talked about the 5 capitals: the financial capital, spiritual capital, the intellectual capital, the human capital, social capital. Why aren't these 3 generations able to do that? Why aren't these 3 generations able to keep that capital flowing? There's usually a breakdown in that capital structure. If you look at the Vanderbilts, right, there's a great study out there. I can't think about where it is, but it's a great study about the Vanderbilts versus the Rothschilds. And the Vanderbilts was one of the richest families in the world. So were the Rothschilds. However, the Rothschilds have been able to keep way, way, way more money in their pocketbooks and their wallets versus the Vanderbilts, who have not been able to do so as successfully. Well, one of the reasons why is because the Vanderbilts didn't decide to meet that often, where the Rothschilds meet more recurring. So that's that social capital piece that I referred to previously. They were able to keep their social capital intact, so they were able to keep the money flowing, keep the ideas going, and funnel everything else. So, again, a breakdown in any of those quote unquote capitalisms leads you to dysfunction when we're talking about generational wealth. So again, if you missed it and you're just getting on, we were talking about human capital. Again, the ability, your overall abilities and qualities in your organization. Intellectual capital, your ability to learn, create ideas, and share those ideas throughout your organization, your business, or family. Social capital, spiritual capital, financial capital, right? So again, there is a breakdown um, through all of those. There's a breakdown through all of those. So now everybody's going around and we're talking about Black wealth, generational wealth, but none of us are really understanding what it really takes. And so yesterday I put a question out and it said, do you think you'll be able to create a better life for your child than what you had? Because I see a lot of people say that. I don't want my child to struggle. I don't want my child to go through the hardships that I went through. But in doing that, and listen, everybody's well intentioned when they say that, we don't realize that oftentimes we are softening our children, making them weaker and making them less able to carry on the wealth. All right. Because oftentimes when you give them more, right, give them more things, they become entitled. They don't want to work because they don't understand the value of a dollar. They don't understand the value of work. However, there's a flip side to that. Usually, and listen, these rich families don't have it figured out either. I don't want y'all to be delusioned by that. I don't want y'all to get like everybody else that wants to keep up with the Joneses and follow all the billionaires and say, oh, they've got money, they must have it figured out. They absolutely do not. Right. And that goes back to, again, that capital structure we were talking about. Many of them lose that social capital aspect, thus losing the spiritual aspect, thus losing the intellectual capital and the human capital, right? Because they're not able to work together, share ideas, and even build up unique talents and abilities oftentimes. So you got to keep all that in perspective. But by giving our children a bunch of things, again, it makes them really, really weak. However, we want to give them experiences. We want to share our experiences. Many of the wealthy now are sharing their experiences with folks. I was watching a clip and doing research for this. I was watching David Rockefeller. He's one of the Rockefeller heirs. And one of the things that he said in raising children with wealth is not to let them know that they're wealthy, that they still have to do things. They have to earn things. They have to create on their own merits. They have to create on their own merits. They have to build things on their own merits. They have to be their own man or woman, right? You can't really give somebody manhood or womanhood, right? You can't really give somebody manhood or womanhood as it relates to wealth building. They have to understand what values, what things, what abilities they bring to the table, and then be able to see the whole picture. Oftentimes, not every time, oftentimes, many families are that are able to go for generations and generations are able to do that. They're definitely able to do that. But again, as we get on our wealth journey, these are things that we need to be thinking about because we're having children, right? And so how are we making sure that we're able to keep them grounded properly? Other thing that I found really, really interesting, especially as it relates to Black families, right? I don't know if many of us will be able to create the dynastic or dynasty wealth that many of these other families are able to create. However, what many of the other families do is they have affinity connections, right? People that they work with. The most popular I could think of right now is like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. They're not quote unquote blood relatives. However, they get a lot of money together. All right. That's who I can think of off the top of my head. The other one I would say also is LeBron and his crew. LeBron, Maverick Carter, who's the other guy who they made the rule about? The Rooney Rule. I can't think of his whole name. But again, they're connected by affinity. They're not by family, and they're making a lot of money. You can clearly see they have the human capital, the intellectual capital, social capital, the spiritual capital, and the financial capital to go into all of this, right? So they're going to be able to do a lot of things. So I say all that to say that you may not be able to create generational wealth with your family, your first cousins, your brother and sister, because you all may not be at the same place trying to do the same thing at the same time. But if you meet some people that's in your tribe, that's kind of a popular term these days, right? People that have similar values as you, people that have similar goals as you, people that have similar vision as you could potentially work with some of those folks in whatever capacity, whether it's a formal partnership, joint venture, whatever it may be. And you may be able to build generational wealth that way as well. There's a lot of different ways to do it. A lot of different ways to do it. If you look at Death Row Records, right, Suge Knight, Dr. Dre, Tupac, that would be another example of an affinity group that had the ability to make a boatload of money. But it didn't go quite as planned. However, Dr. Dre came out, Snoop came out all right. God bless Tupac, he's no longer here. And many, many others were able to do that, right? Master P is another one. Puffy's another one. There's a whole Atlanta crew that's doing things just in terms of music. When you look at, again, I think this is a good idea or good example of generational wealth. Black enterprise. The Graves family went from father to son, and they've been able to keep it in the family. So that's a great thing as well. And that's another model of success, definitely of success that you can look at and you can see how it all went about. Now, I see I got a couple of questions in here. What do you all think about this? Have you all ever heard the term shirt sleeves or shirt sleeves in 3 generations? Again, nobody's really talking about that part of it. Everybody wants to talk about crypto. Everybody wants to talk about renting these jets and these planes, which is cool, right? If that's really your lifestyle. Oftentimes it's not. And so folks are putting on a facade, and I'm cool with that too. Fake it till you make it. Just don't lie about what you're going to deliver. But nobody's really talking about the real meat and potatoes of the issues that we need to deal with, right? How are we going about building our human capital? I mean, take it even further, right? I'm talking about it from an organizational, family, and business standpoint. Many communities talk about it as well. I mean, you could talk about it from a community standpoint as well. It might not be as efficient, but it's there. You can see it in many ethnic groups. So how are we building out our human capital? How are we building our intellectual capital? How are we building out our social capital? How are we building out our spiritual capital? How are we building out our financial capital as well? Like I said, the financial capital is the least important of them all. However, it's still important, right? It's still important. So I saw a couple of people jump in. Let's chop it up a little bit and get to it. What's up, Jack? Mark Millions, how are you? Repeat with Pete, how are you? Nandi, how are you? Tangeray, what's up, brother? Eric, Leo Lady, Shop Fancy Chick 1. Business Bullet, what's up, Dave? I see you out here. Yo, Dave does the best impersonation of me. Dave Anderson is a very, very talented brother, y'all. Check him out. Foodie Fast Food. Jump for More Success. Hello. 4PB, how are you? How's everybody this Saturday? All right, let's see who we got over here on the Facebooks and the YouTubes. All right, hey Tiffany, how you doing? Welcome. Happy Saturday. Maddox 12, what's up? Dwight, what's up, brother? How are you? Hey Latoya, what's up? Happy Saturday. You relaxing over there? I know tax season probably whooped your tail. I know whip mine. Yeah, Dave, I hate the fake. You don't have to fake it till you make it. Just be who you are. As long as you bring value, that's all that should matter. Sadly, many of us want to take this shortcut, right? We want to take the blue pill instead of the red pill. That's a Matrix reference for all of y'all who aren't movie buffs, right? We want to do that. We don't want to do the work. But here's the thing. If you are able to get a shortcut, because I don't really believe there's any real shortcuts, but let's say you get a shortcut, you get lucky. 9 times out of 10, you handicap yourself in some way because you didn't learn the lesson. You try to jump over a hurdle, avoid a hurdle, and not figure out what the lesson was at that hurdle. And you rob yourself. You cheat yourself. Y'all know I've been talking a lot about vision, right? I say a lot of us are shortchanging our vision because we're not spending enough time, 1, to get to know who we are, right? And then 2, doing the work to refine it and figure out what we want to deliver and take to the world. All right. What's up, Jose? How you doing? Melnade Alton, where you been, brother? I ain't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Jose, yes, not necessarily in that manner, but I've heard of the poverty to wealth, back to poverty of generation. Yes, that's another way of saying it. That is another way of saying it. JT, yes, financial planning is required for building wealth individually or as a community. I agree. All right, Facebook user, you got to give StreamYard the permissions to show your name so I can acknowledge you properly, right? Listen, y'all, one of the things we're doing here is we're building human capital, intellectual capital, social, spiritual, and financial capital as well. Thanks for the super chat, JT. Listen, JT just put $4.99 in my pocket. He's helping build the financial capital, right? He appreciates what I'm bringing, what I offer, and I'm here every week, at least twice a week. So he appreciates that. And by the way, I appreciate JT. JT, I haven't seen no videos up this week. You ain't clowning nobody? Hey, Ms. Toya. Ms. Toya says this is great information. And I appreciate you magnifying the importance of wealth as a whole, not just the financial piece. Yes, because again, the financial piece is the least important piece. I know y'all get confused when y'all hear me say that because I'm the quote unquote money guy, right? But listen, when your thoughts become things, that's where the money resides, right? That's a new popular saying. Where the money resides, that's where it's at. So you can really think a thing. I'm not going to get woo when y'all start talking about manifestation, but that's real. Everything that we have, whether it's a car you want to spend $100,000 on, somebody thought of that. You have the same ability to tap into the same thing. Where's your ideal at? Where's your genius at? What's up, brother? Happy Saturday. Mr. Senior LeBron. I don't think I've ever seen you on YouTube, sir. Welcome. All right. So let's see. I see a few more comments on IG. I'm not going to stay on too long. I apologize for my being tardy to the party today, y'all. My daughter had a recital. Family first, right? What's all this wealth about if we ain't gonna have family, whether it be blood or affinity types to really spend it with, build with. All right, Crystal Financial, how are you? Welcome. Justice Junkie 926, how are you? Natural Creola, I hope I'm saying your name right. First Still Learning, what's up, Isha? What's up, Nikki? Please don't take the time to coupons and promo codes for necessities, which could help too. Yes, couponing can go a long way. I love couponing. I don't do it that often. I try to get the wife to do it, but I'm here talking to y'all. Maybe I'll get on here and start couponing. I don't have the patience for it though. Nikki was trying to teach me how to do it. She told me a couple of things. We might have to come back and do a follow-up episode on that. But listen, y'all, the wealth is here for our creating it. I was going to say the wealth is here for our taking, but we ain't got to take nothing. We have everything we need. We can create whatever we want, right? We have the tools, the abilities, and the genius to do it. All you got to do is do it. But the question is, do you really want to do it? And that means, do you really want to do the work? No shortcut for the work. What happens with the work when you don't work, you get people like Bernie Madoff, who made off. But he eventually got caught. So now, how many of y'all have been watching this Bitcoin rush and are thinking about buying the dip? Because I've been getting hit with the inboxes asking me about Bitcoin. Y'all know my stance on it. First things first, right? First things first. What's up with your savings? Have you figured out how to increase your income potential? Have you figured out then how to multiply that income potential? First things first, right? Again, a lot of times we want to jump around and get to all the fun and sexy things And remember, all those fun and sexy things really keep us from getting to the bag. All right. Ryan Sims, how are you, sir? Happy Saturday to you. Thanks for joining. All right, folks, I'm not going to stay on too long. This one was short and sweet. Always feel free to reach out to me. I will be back Wednesday. I'm going to start doing more stuff in the Facebook Academy. So you'll be seeing more lives there, more topics there, but we'll be doing it in the Facebook Academy on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, come on over. Love to have you. We talk about money every day in every way. All right, folks, y'all have a great day, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.